Okay, so I don't want to spend too much time on this because there's a lab too, which you guys don't have to finish in here, but I want to give you guys some time for that. So let's just go ahead and get started. We'll do it as a group. So for the first one, what do we have to do to that to get it to behave that way? Anyone know? This is kind of a trick question, not exactly, but no? Nothing, exactly. So you don't have to do anything, right? If the dimension's already set, naturally it's already going to appear in the top left corner of its parent. Okay. Scroll down. What about this one? What do we have to do here?
Left.
Does anyone know? Not quite nothing in the first one. You have to set you just have to set the position on it, right? You have to set the position on it to something just so that the red is going to be relative to that, because there is some space between it and the document bounds. Does that make sense?
For the blue one?
Yeah, for the blue one. So you just want to just set the position of it either relative or absolute, just so that the red box is always in the top right-hand corner of the blue box. Otherwise, it's going to it's going to take on its offsets from the document bounds.
Not for me, but I'm slow, so don't worry.
Okay, what about the third one?
What was the second one?
The second one is, for the blue, you want to do position to either relative or absolute, and then under red, you want to set its position to absolute, and then you want to give it a value of top 0 or right 0. The solutions will be posted later, right? But does that make sense to everyone?
Top 0 or right 0?
Top 0 and right 0.
And right 0.
If you neglect the top 0, that
If you neglect the top 0, it still might already be there, but it's definitely better to set that because I'm not sure how the CSS standards are set, but it might just be not defined, and if you leave it up to the browser, then it might put it wherever it wants to put it. So it's better to just be safe than sorry. Okay, for the third one, this one should be quite similar.
Same thing for the second one, just put bottom 0, right 0.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the exact same thing as the last example, except we do bottom 0, right 0. Okay, what about this one? This one's a little bit more complicated. There's 3 boxes now. So what do we do with the blue one?
Nothing.
Nothing. Or essentially the same thing as the other ones. Right? We set its position to either relative or absolute. And then for the red one, what do we do that way?
Bottom 0, right 0.
Yeah, same thing as the previous one. What about the green one? Yeah, absolute top right. And it's going to inherit from the red one because the red one's position is already set, right? Either relative or absolute, and it's absolute in this case. Does that make sense? Yeah, so the red is the nearest pair to green, right? It's nested with green.
Why couldn't it be relative?
Why is it? What?
Why couldn't it be relative?
It could be relative, but the problem is if you set it to relative and you set it right 0, it's going to do right 0 to its current location. Its natural location is here, and if you do right 0, it's just going to stay put essentially. It won't move at all. And the last one, this one's a little bit tricky, but you will find yourself using this. How do we get this behavior with the red box? Anyone know? So we never said anything about the values having to be positive values. Can anyone guess how we would achieve this using negative values?
Right, negative 0. Just kidding.
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you use a negative value for the right? Everyone's a little mumbling, but yeah, for right hand side you use a negative value, right? 200 pixels. So you saw if you use the positive value, it pushes it away from the right. If we use a negative value, it's going to go the opposite direction, right? So you want to use a value of 100 pixels, sorry. And it'll actually take this box and move it out 100 pixels. Okay, so look like that. Okay, so here's just a quick demo of this. So I've actually coded these up, and I've written a little JavaScript to see what happens when the sizes of these elements actually change. So this is absolute top right, okay? And what's nice about this is if this box changes width, that's going to stay in the top right always, okay? So you can see some application of that. And similarly, if we do this one, and we expand it, always going to be in the top right, except outside. And for this example, the same thing is going to happen, right? It's always going to stay put because we're using absolute. We use relative and we use just the right amount of pixels to achieve what we want. It would maybe look the same, but if you ever change the size of your boxes later, you run into trouble, right? So it's really nice to choose, you know, kind of the values or the attributes that you really mean by that. Oh, just the JavaScript is just moving. I'm just changing the height on it. So it doesn't matter if it's square. Just pay attention to the conditions. Are there any other questions? Okay, so just quickly, how do we achieve? Never mind. How do we? Okay, I didn't set that. How do we achieve the behavior where we have this left bar fixed and then the right scrolling? Do you guys remember?
Fix the left bar.
We want it right. We want to set the position fixed on the left bar. What do we want to do in the right bar? We want to set absolute. What value do we want to do there? For the offsets? You could do that if it was nested, right? If they're separate. So there are lots of ways you could possibly do it. The way that we have up here is you set the position fixed, and this has to be fixed, right, where not scroll. And for the content, you can just give it an absolute value, make the top 0, and the left just the width of your bar on the left, right? Does that make sense? And then it's going to take this and just push it out by this. You could also set a margin or anything. And that's it. So there's just finish up the quiz, the lecture code's there, and then there's lab. Lab is kind of fun. For the first part, you're not really doing much coding. And you guys can take a little bit of a break if you guys don't want to get into the coding right away. But just, you can work in groups and let us know when you're done with the first section or the second section. We'll come by and let you know if you're doing it right, and then you guys can move on. So just call us over when you're done.